This is WECT News at 11.
Good evening. Nearly 1,100 people live in Wilmington's public housing communities, and we did some digging and found there's actually a family making $83,000 a year living in one of those public housing units.
Yeah, hard to believe, I know. So WECT's Ann McAdams took a closer look at the income levels to see if the people who need public assistance the most are getting it.
The average income of a family living in Wilmington public housing is $9,000 a year, and some families make far less. Still, there are dozens of households making $30,000 a year or more, putting them in much better financial shape than many people still on the waiting list for public housing. The results of our public records request came as a surprise, even to the director of the Wilmington Housing Authority. A household of 4 people living in Gervais Place had an income of $83,000 a year.
I think that's excessive for a public housing program.
There are just over 1,000 families living in public housing units in Wilmington and another 2,000 getting rental assistance through Section 8. But the need is far greater, so much so that the waiting list for public housing has been closed for 2 years. Many of those in need who have not found a spot in public housing end up at the Good Shepherd shelter.
I've never really had a problem finding something, but now it's awful.
Good Shepherd resident and kitchen volunteer Larry Rivers tells us he lost 3 different jobs in the Wilmington area when his employers went out of business. Because he served 4 years in the Marine Corps and because he has a chronic health condition, Rivers says he was given priority and has been approved for Section 8 assistance. But he's still trying to come up with the money he needs for a security deposit and utility fees.
It's crazy. The rent is just so high. If you like me and all these people in the shelter, what little bit you make, it doesn't go anywhere.
Rivers says it's frustrating to hear about high-income households taking up limited spots in public housing. But he knows that many of the people in public housing are just as financially strapped as he is. Mike Krause says it's a balancing act.
I think oftentimes for our families the options are really limited, and that's why so often we see families living there for years and years and generations, because there really are no other affordable options here in Wilmington.
Federal law does not allow the Wilmington Housing Authority to limit the amount of time a family can stay. It does allow housing authorities to set income caps, but Krause says high incomes in public housing are rare, and he fears that setting an income cap might actually deter families from actively seeking work. For WECT News, I'm Ann McAdams.